Give everybody just a couple minutes to come in here. Just hang out for a few minutes before people show up. Hope all of you are doing well. Good evening, Justin. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing better than I am. Hope all of you are doing better than I am, actually. Let's give you guys a few minutes to come in. We'll just schmooze for a few minutes. How about that? Hey, Crypto Ollie, how are you doing? Go ahead and share this, guys, if you wouldn't mind. Let's get some eyeballs on this. Appreciate it in advance. Happy upcoming weekend for you guys in America. That's 4th of July. Trust you are doing well. What are you guys doing for the holiday weekend? Go ahead and let me know. I'm kind of curious what you guys are planning to do. The whole barbecue thing is so typical, but I don't know. I don't know with everything going around if people are going to be getting together and doing that. I was actually at a wedding of my brother-in-law's last weekend. I think that's probably where I picked this up. But doing better. Doing better. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate that. It's very nice of you. All right. Just give it a couple more minutes. And we will get some more folks in here. Go ahead and share this if you wouldn't mind, guys. I'd appreciate it. All right. Just checking out a couple of things here. Looks like what's the market doing right now? Not very good is the answer, right? Yeah, it's trading in a range right now between like 17 and 21 and a half. We're just coming back down to the bottom of that channel, I think. This is to be expected probably for the next couple of months. I think probably until, November, like fall time. We'll probably be in this range for some time. That's my guess. So, nothing to really report on that front. Hey, No Defender, how are you? I'm doing a lot better. Better than last night. 105 degrees is no joke when you get that high. Actually, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think your brain can cook at a certain level. I think it's like 106. Your brain actually starts to cook. I had a former firefighter friend tell me that once, many years ago. Hey, doing good. Good to see you in here. All right, well, how about we just get started? I'm going to try to keep this fairly tight and concise, just because I'm not feeling super great. But, people can get caught up as they come in. Go ahead and share it if you wouldn't mind. Let's get caught up. So here's kind of the situation. Let's just kind of explain sort of the problem first. The problem being, I was putting out some tweets over the last, 6 weeks or something like that. I think you guys kind of knew what I was doing. And it was things like, hey, what are projects doing right that other projects should mimic? What are projects doing wrong that no other project should do? You want to know what the number one answer to that question was? The number one answer that everybody was giving was communication. I always found that a little bit kind of funny. Maybe funny is the wrong word, but I think being a former entrepreneur, you're never former, I should say. You always have that kind of mindset. But being an entrepreneur, when you run a business, communication to me is the easy part, right? Like communication and transparency and integrity is just sort of a given. That's not something that should set you apart. That's just something everybody should do. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So then we start getting into, what am I truly doing here, right? Like a lot of people said, hey, start your own project, start your own project, start your own project. Originally I came into this space as a investor first and sharing some thoughts. And then people said, hey, start a YouTube. So I started a YouTube to be a little bit more specific and a little more free range with what I'm sharing. So then it became sort of an educator second. And I was perfectly fine, backing certain projects and saying, hey, I'm excited about these projects. I think that people have good intentions. I think the project really has something. And then I found out that's not the case. I don't think so intentionally. I just think a lack of being able to run a business effectively. If I could just say, I don't think any of that was ever intentional. At least I hope not. I don't want to judge intentions, but I kind of realized that, look, if I want to have a project in this space that is honest, that's transparent, by the way, the biggest thing in this space, what is the number one separator between the projects that don't make it and the projects that do? What do you guys think that is? Type in a chat box. I'm kind of curious. I'm going to tell you what it is in my opinion. What is the number one thing that these projects have failed to do so far? Yeah, they have said certain things and haven't followed through. Yes, they have, said they were going to do something and then never actually did it. Yes, they have lacked maybe some transparency in showing you how they're using funds and things like that. What's actually the number one thing? No defender's got it. No defender knows. They can't make money. Yeah, crypto pros don't. They can't make money. So start thinking, okay, people keep saying to start your own project. So if I was to do this, how would I do it? I started to think, how would I approach this? Watching these projects fail one after another, how would I go about solving this problem? I started to think, okay, let's tackle the sort of transparency part for a minute. What if a project, very simple on this part, the communication is super simple. Say what you're going to do what you're going to say, right? And on top of that, just keeping your word, which is setting you apart already. You have other things such as, if you've got partnerships, why don't you show legal documents? Pretty simple, right? I mean, if you're taking money from people, shouldn't you be showing them the partnerships, the investments? Oh, by the way, here's a financial audit report done by one of the biggest firms in the world that does this day in, day out. Okay, here's how your money's being used on chain, off chain. Here's where it went. Here's the profits you made. Boom. Oh, and by the way, we're going to put that out publicly for everybody to see. We're going to pull the legal documents out for everybody to see so that you could literally take them, hand them to your attorney, and your attorney can look them over and say, yeah, these are legitimate. That level of transparency. And what if you were able to partner with a company that's been in traditional finance for over 15 years, has $6 billion under asset management, and has grossed over $100 billion for its clients, serves super high net worth clients. Okay, professionals, in other words, at making money off-chain as well as on-chain. Okay, then you've solved the transparency issue, you've solved the communication issue, you've solved the integrity issue, because if you have nothing to hide, there's no reason you can't show that information, right? And if you can make money, you have no problem showing the financial audits. So if that were to exist, what would that do to the space? How would that change the model of this circular reward system? I don't care if you want to call them nodes or whatever, verbiage you want to use. If you could bring that value, which in my opinion, what's missing in the space are the professionals at making money. If you could deliver that value with entrepreneurs that know how to run a business, that understand blockchain, know how to make money, I think you really got something. And that's exactly what I've done with XETA. And not me, I shouldn't say me. I'm one of several founders, okay? I like to surround myself with people who are much smarter than me. That's sort of my goal is, look, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're not growing, right? You're not learning, you're not getting better. So I always want to surround myself with people who are smarter than me. That's actually what business is all about. So I thought about this and I said, okay, I think there's really something here, okay? And we always talk about sustainability. Okay, let me tell you something. If you don't make money, first of all, if you make money, you have a lot of options. If you don't make money, you only have one option, and that's to go straight to zero. Okay, money gives you options for, say, sustainability, for growth of the business, for having real investments and partnerships and sharing that with your community. Okay, if you are operating under the premise of integrity, then there's no reason to hide anything, right? And I said that on Twitter. I know some people didn't really appreciate it, but the bottom line is the fact of reality. If you have nothing to hide, you should be able to show all this information. I always look at it this way. A lot of projects, they have these ideas. They're going to build their own chain, or they're going to do this, or they're going to, whatever it may be. I'm not talking about one project. I'm talking about the space as a whole. Pretty much any project you just fill in the blank with. That's all great. But what happens is their emissions get out of control before they've ever had a chance to make money. Emissions meaning, that's a fancy word that means basically the nodes or whatever you want to call them. The rewards just keep getting piled up and piled up and piled up until at some point people have reached their goal. They want 10 nodes, 50 nodes, 100 nodes, whatever. They all start selling and it only goes one way. If you don't have money to combat that, you are always going to be playing defense. If you have money before you launch, like XETA is already making money before the pre-sale, you are having your profits outpace the emissions. First of all, the emissions are lower. We're going to get into this in a moment. Than other projects. Already making the big sell-off down the road. Doesn't eliminate it, just pushes it out. Then you have money beforehand that's compounding. By the time the two meet, you have options. That's my point. So if you come down to the website, you can kind of read this over. There's some links on the bottom. There's a Twitter and a Discord. These are partner links. I'll talk all about this in a minute. This is a response to the market. This is, you know, I had people saying, hey, build a project, build a project, build a project. So it was just like, okay, if this is how I would solve the problem, this is my way of doing it. And it just so happened that there are people who kind of walk in the common space that I knew of. They said, hey, wait a minute. There's an opportunity here. Okay. Not for us, for the people. I have no need to start a project, just to let you guys know. Okay. Perfectly happy being an educator and backing projects if they do what they say they're going to do and not go back on it. So speaking of which, if you come on the website, again, this is, of course, presale.xetacapital.com. Some people ask, why the countdown? What was the countdown all about? It's just fun, guys. It's just to have fun, okay? It's just to say, hey, I'm doing something tomorrow. Join in. That's all it was, okay? You have to have a little bit of fun in this space. So if we hit partnerships and agreements on top, all of this is in the Discord as well. This is just put up, just recently. Here's all the legal documents. Very simple. See, you've got partnerships, you've got investments. I'll show you a couple of these really briefly. Let's look at the Gaxxis service agreement. Gaxxis is the organization that I was referring to that's been in traditional finance for 15 years, has $6 billion under asset management, has grossed $100 billion for their clients, serves high net worth clients in traditional finance for a long time, knows how to make money. We're going to get into them in just a moment, but let's just look at the service agreement we have between them and us, XETA. So you see here, this was signed on Wednesday, June 1st, 2022. This is the whole legal document. You can literally print this up, walk over to your attorney, say, Mr. or Miss Attorney, please look this over and tell me what you think. Okay? Now, of course, the person from XETA is not doxing, so we redacted that, but you can see the CEO from Gaxxis signing this right here. You can look this whole thing over and ask questions, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability, right? And if I can't, I'll get you the answer from the Gaxxis team. Okay, so let's look at some more here. Let's look at one of the investments, shall we? So let's look at, this is Delage Automobiles. By the way, you can actually click and scroll to the right here. There's a whole bunch more documents. Let's look at the stock warrant. Again, this is the level of transparency that I am talking about. This should just be a given. I want to say common sense, but I know common sense isn't common. So here is a commitment right here of funds already given. This is 250, let me zoom in here, sorry. I know it might be small on your screen. This is 250,000 euros. Comes out to about 264,000 US dollars for 44,000 shares of this company. So what is this company? Delage Automobiles makes hypercars. They make, I gotta show you guys this in the Discord, but they make multi-million-dollar street legal like supercars. Some of the coolest things, like, you go from 0 to 60 in like a second and a half. Maybe even faster than that, just crazy type of stuff. These guys already have paid orders, not promises, paid orders for many of these cars that are going to be delivered in 2023. So this is 44,405 shares of this company. This is an example of an off-chain investment that's already been made prior to day one. And the key thing here, by the way, with off-chain is the fact that, and I'm not picking on any specific projects, okay? I'm just saying this in general. If you launch a project in this space and you use the treasury to go back into the space to buy strong nodes or create validators, guess what happens when the market crashes? Your project crashes with it. It has to. You don't have a choice. Okay? If you're invested off-chain as well as on-chain, because look, the opportunity is on-chain. Let's not let's not forget about that. But if you're on chain and off chain, you have a crypto winter that comes, you have a bear market that comes, you have options. Okay, you can kind of shelter that. You'll get hit a little bit, but you can shelter that. Let's look at this one. This is Amazon Spring Water. We don't have a signed document back. It's as good as done. We're just waiting for the compliance team to kind of go over it before we post it, but we'll post it as soon as we get it back. If I were to show you the business plan for this product, it's a physical product brand that has a green initiative. They're serving specific countries, and they even go over how they make the water, what the opportunity is. They have, again, a green initiative behind it. This is a business plan. I mean, look how long this document is here. I'm just going to scan through this. Look at this. Look how big this thing is. I mean, they tell you how they're going to make money, how much, what their projections are, how they make the water, what makes it unique, just all sorts of stuff. This is another one that has already been invested in, and that's making me dizzy. This has already been invested in. Once that's back and it goes through the compliance team, that will be posted as well. Another example of an off-chain project that's been invested. And let's look at another one. Let's look at an on-chain one, right? I'm not going to go through all these, just one more. Metaverses. There's a lot of metaverse-like projects that exist. This is the wallet that's been redacted here. This is one of the better ones that I've personally seen. Let's go through this for a minute. I'll just show you. I'll zoom in again. So $750,000, okay, on June 8th for 25 million MTVS tokens. That's the token behind this project. This project is not public yet, right? This is the benefit of a Gaxxis, by the way, negotiating these before they go live and getting the price points to get in early, okay? You can see the director of AGM Global Limited, which represents Metaverses, signed this, as well as the CEO of Gaxxis right here. And you can come down here, it's on the Solana blockchain and what we paid for it. Okay, already making money prior to the pre-sale. And that's actually, so we have, these are a little bit longer term plays, but there's also shorter term plays. There's a lot of high frequency trading. I'll get into this in a little bit, but there is a lot of high frequency trading that XETA leases from a company that literally sits around all day, and all they do is tweak algorithms on crypto futures, gold, Forex, and even pre-IPO equity, okay? And those do extremely well. They've got a 7 or 8 year track record of making roughly 25% ROI per month, not per year, per month. Okay, we are already have been participating in that for a little while. At least, I want to say the past 3 weeks, give or take. So we're already making money. That's the passive income part of this. These are longer term plays, but nonetheless, off-chain stuff and on-chain stuff, this is what the projects are missing. They're not making money. I don't think they know how to make money, to be very frank with you. If you come down, you'll see introduction to Gaxxis. You can get all sorts of information, how they look at their philosophy behind multi-assets, Bitcoin fund that they have, equities, bonds, all sorts of stuff. This is all information that you guys as a community should deserve to see. Here's a little something, just one more. I'll show you right here. This fact sheet from Gaxxis. Check this out. If I come down here, this is a partner fact sheet. You could see kind of a roadmap, past performance of Gaxxis from 2013 to today. Here's a quote from Joseph Lubin, co-founder of Ethereum and founder and CEO of Consensus, talking about Gaxxis right here. You can come down, you can see, their employee structure, figures of the company, all sorts of stuff, information. And by the way, we're gonna be hosting an AMA tomorrow in Discord at about 12 p.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Central, and 3 p.m. Eastern time. We'll have someone from Gaxxis on there. Let's try to have someone from Gaxxis join us, because there's going to be probably Gaxxis specific questions that people will be asking. I'm going to get to who they are in just a moment. So again, this is just a level of transparency that I think you deserve. Just very simple. Okay, if you are, if you're not, if the founders are not taking a little something on the side, if you have legitimate investments, legitimate partnerships, this should just be a given. It's an easy. You have both parties agree to post this. That's all you need. It's very simple. It's not complicated. So if we come here, we click whitelist on the top. You're going to be presented with the white paper. Let's look over the white paper, shall we? Now, there's specific things. I'm not going to go over every single word in the white paper. I'm not going to take your time up that way. I would recommend you do. If this is something you're interested in, look over the white paper yourself. There are key points in the white paper that I want to go over, kind of key differentiators, and then I'm going to give you some more specifics okay? Tokenomics specifics, all right? I tell you how this problem has been solved, how there's real world use case utility behind what we're calling zones, not nodes. XON is pronounced zones. I'm going to explain the real utility. My philosophy, this is my philosophy, has always been, when you participate in this circular reward system, you should have so much value that selling the token is literally the last thing you want to do. What if you did that? You provide so much utility, you didn't even want to sell the token because you're getting utility elsewhere that's way more valuable than selling the token. I'm going to show you how I feel we've solved that in a moment. Let's go through the white paper here. There's an introduction. You can read some partners. By the way, we are partnering with Pangolin. Pangolin, the CEO, Steven, has been really excited about XETA. They are going to be building our DEX. We are going to have our own DEX, not because we want to participate in the whole DEX market. That's not the intention. The intention is to control the environment of the token buying, which, by the way, part of that will go back to charity. I'll talk about that in a moment as well. So this is what I want to talk about. So the capital partners and some unique feature sets. Gaxxis is an SRO, a self-regulatory organization. I'd recommend you go run a Google search on what that is. There's a lot that goes into that, but it gives them some regulatory authority in certain areas to deal with things like securities. So if there's a cryptocurrency that happened to be a security, it doesn't change Gaxxis. Gaxxis can still deal in that all day long. To deal in securities, of course, cryptocurrencies, bonds, all sorts of things in the traditional finance market. XETA is an AR, or appointed representative, and Gaxxis handles 100% of all the investments. I'm going to show you in a moment when we get to the tokenomics why that's important. Like I've said, I'll just say it again, they've been in traditional finance for 15 years. They have $6 billion in management. Okay, that's blockchain assets. They also have $850 million in off-chain assets as well in their management. And in order for you to be a client, let's just say you are a wealthy guy or gal and you want to be a client of Gaxxis, minimum of $10 million in assets, $25 million in liquid cash with a minimum of $10 million to invest. Okay, if you're like me, you don't have that kind of money, but I'm going to show you how we're bringing that value to the blockchain where you don't need that kind of money. Okay, you could also look into Alphabet. We'll go into each of these later, like not in this video, but at some other point. Alphabet qualifies a lot of the investments. Launchpool, go and look up who Launchpool is. A lot of blockchain and cryptocurrency projects come to Launchpool to get angel investors. Okay, through our partnership here, we can have access to buying into Launchpool projects before they ever hit Launchpool. So even before the early pricing, this is like pre-seed angel investing entry points. And of course, I already mentioned Pangolin. They're going to build our DEX for us, with a part of that going back to charity. Capital protection. This is a key one. I'll just read this. Now I'll tell you what it means. In an increasingly volatile financial landscape, XETA enters the market utilizing USDC stablecoin and 100 million euro in audited asset backing. That's roughly 106 million US dollars, by the way. This guarantee protects our assets and the XETA community from the negative influences of major fluctuations in the crypto markets and ensures our assets are solidly secured by capital assets. So picture for a minute, Gaxxis has over $100 million, we'll just say, in assets, real estate, commodities, all sorts of basket of things. XETA is brought under the purview of that to protect the capital inside the company in the event something happens, okay? I don't know if that's been done. Doesn't matter if it's been done, we're doing it. Nexus Mutual Insurance. So this obviously covers, I think you guys know who Nexus is. Custodian breaches, hacks, protocol failures, that type of thing. The XETA Capital Fund is just basically where the profits from the investments come back to, which is where we will perform buybacks to keep the price stabilized. And I'm going to tell you why that actually solves the Ponzi-nomics argument. We actually eliminate the Ponzi-nomics argument. I'll get that in a minute when we go through the tokenomics. But the XETA Capital Fund is where the profits come back to from the investments. And of course, Bank Frick, that's actually how you say it, is a custodian of the cryptocurrencies, and Credit Suisse is where the fiat is stored as well. So we'll go through some of this. There's a couple more things I want to show you guys. So I'll go over this just briefly, the high view of the tokenomics. I'm going to get a little bit into the weeds, not crazy, but I'll get a little bit into the weeds here in a moment after we go through the white paper. But there's 21 million tokens. 20 million are in the rewards pool right away, and 1 million is in circulation, but not all of them are in circulation. You have 1 million, just a little bit is in circulation and added to it as time goes on until the 1 million are used up essentially. And as we know, actually before I get into that, I'm going to go into something in just a moment here about the lifespan of this. Speaking of the lifespan, your zones do last for 1 year. Now the key to this is there is no such thing as lifetime rewards. That does not exist. The moment that you're using lifetime rewards, it's not true. There is no such thing. And there shouldn't be such a thing because you can mathematically only sustain so much before you collapse. That's why these expire in a year, because it creates consistent bind pressure. And I'm going to show you why you actually have to keep your zones to maintain something of value. And I'll show you that in a moment. But the zones expire, in 12 months because that creates more sustainability behind the project. Okay, let's just go down here for a moment. Obviously, you put 10 in, 0.1 a day. Like a strong block, for example. Okay, that model is actually very sustainable if you have the business structure around it. If you just have this node model, okay, and you're not making money, and you're not taking that money and making more money and more money, then guess what? These emissions get way out of control, and there's nothing you could do. You can't combat it. It's a race to zero. That's essentially what happens. When you solve the money part of the problem, that gives you options to combat that increasing emissions or reward rate when people start selling everything off to buy back, to sustain it. We are in a conversation right now, and I'm not saying we're going to do this, but I just want to be open about this. We are in a conversation right now of potentially pegging the price. Okay, not saying that's going to happen, but we're having those conversations. In either case, whether we peg it or whether we do buybacks, either one will work. Okay, and the reason why buybacks hasn't worked in this space, just to let you know, is there hasn't been enough money. I mean, you can't put a few $100K in, you need to put a few million in. Okay, you need to find a way to compound your money so you keep ahead of emissions with ever increasing amounts of money. If you can't do that, buybacks are very temporary. Okay, you've got to know how to make money, and a lot of money, in order to make that model work. That's why this works. But 0.1 a day, you put 10 tokens in. So in terms of coins, it is 265%. 26.5 is returned back in terms of ROI on the actual coin quantity. Let's talk about the overarching tokenomics for a minute. So when you buy a zone, here's a differentiator. A lot of projects will divvy up the tokens. You put 5 here, or 2 here, or 6 here, or 8 here. It doesn't matter. All 10 go back to the rewards pool. And that may not make any sense initially, but let me explain, because here's the problem you have. If you are giving 10 tokens over, I take 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever it may be, and I put it, say, back to the rewards, but then I take some and I put it into the business and liquidity. Guess what? What I put into the business and what I put into liquidity has to be sold off to make it liquid. Nobody's going to accept a XETA token, right? So what happens is, whether it's automated now or it happens later, it has to be sold off. So it creates selling pressure. So I said, what if all 10 went back to the rewards pool? We found another way to fund those things. So that's what this is. So all 10 go back to the rewards pool. It's not a Ponzi. I'm going to get to that when we get into the tokenomics. I'm going to explain that. But the creation is the same thing as the monthly membership fee. Again, we'll explain that in a minute, why it's called a membership fee. It's $15. When you claim, it's a variable claim fee. What you have with a lot of projects is that, I don't mean to laugh, but it's just kind of funny. You have a high token price that just keeps falling and falling and falling, but the claim fee stays the same. In many instances, the actual token is less than the claim fee. The claim fee is never updated. Claim fee here is updated, up and down, okay? In either instance, whenever you build a zone, you pay your monthly membership, or you claim, 50% goes to the treasury, 25% goes to the business, and 25% goes to the liquidity as a buy order. In both instances, part of this also goes to charity as well. So it's funded not by the tokens that go into the reward, not the rewards pool, but the tokens that are used to build the zones. Okay, like a lot of projects, they have to sell their token off, and it's like, okay, you have on one hand, people reach a certain node level and they just start selling. Then you have the founders selling on top of that because they got to get their liquidity out. No. This is all accepted in USD coin, by the way. So when you claim, you pay in USD coin. You pay your monthly membership fee, you pay in USD coin. There's no selling that has to take place. It's liquid, and we don't accept AVAX because we've seen what happens when you take AVAX and you don't use it right away, and it just drops 50% in a week, and all of a sudden your treasury goes to nothing. Okay, so it's all in USD coin. And by the way, the token will be paired to USD coin, not paired to AVAX. It's on the Avalanche blockchain, but it's not going to be paired to AVAX. You've seen what happens in this space, where, for example, we have a spammer in here. Hang on, guys. Oh, gotta love the spammers that come in, right? So, a lot of projects are paired to AVAX. Bitcoin goes down, everything follows, including AVAX. The token paired to AVAX also dumps with it. You pair to a stable coin like USD coin, you eliminate that problem. Okay? Let me go down here. We're almost through the white paper here. Again, I'd recommend you read this whole thing word for word. I'm just giving you kind of the 100-foot view. Probably not 1,000, but 100-foot view, right? So the zone lasts 1 year, as I mentioned. So here's another thing. Okay, a lot of projects will start off and they'll say, okay, we have this node model, whatever you want to call it, and we have a fixed amount of coins. I've said this before and I'll say it again. With a fixed number of coins and some sort of velocity of using those coins, building nodes, building zones, getting rewards, selling, buying, all that kind of stuff, there's only so many tokens that could be moved around before you literally run out of tokens. Okay? In modern monetary theory, they've been trying to solve this problem for, I don't know, decades, if not longer. The Federal Reserve just prints more money. That's how they solve it. Okay? So a lot of projects never go into what do we do when this happens, right? Rather than waiting a month before it happens and making some surprise announcement. How about I just tell you right now, okay? That makes sense if I just told you right now. The current tokenomics and emissions predict a project lifespan of roughly 2 years. Roughly 2 years. I'm going to add to that, not to take away from that. It should be at least 2 years. This is dependent on growth rate, right? The faster you grow, the less time you have. The slower you grow, the more time you have. In this market, I'm willing to bet you probably have more than 2 years just because people are not just throwing money all over the place at everything, okay? Which I actually let's touch on that for a minute. People would say, why would you launch in this kind of market? I would say it's better, and I'll tell you the reason. I know there's some people that totally disagree. They think every project that launches in a bear market is doomed to fail. Not true. A lot of projects launched in bear markets, okay? Here's my thoughts on this. So you have, in a bull market, projects launching left and right. There's this project, this node, that node, the other thing. People throw money all over the place because everything's going up. They pull profits, they move it over. So there's just money going everywhere. And I think most people don't really do the research on what they're buying. They just buy things. Okay, and then, classic 80-20 rule, only 20% of those are actually going to make it, right? In a bear market, you are not one of 100. You are one of maybe 2 or 3. You're one of few options, and people really have to do their due diligence. They really have to know exactly what it is they're buying. So in my opinion, the real projects are built in the bear market. That's my opinion, okay? It's not a bear market does not scare me at all. If a client obtains a zone before the expiration, so let's talk about this. Let's say 2-3 years go by, the tokens are running out. What do we do? How do we solve this problem? Because remember, your zone only lasts a year. So what if you buy a day before the tokens run out, or a month before, or 2 months before? Well, it's very simple. I'll tell you exactly what you do. So you're currently working in the X1 token, okay, call it Zeta 1, for example. You've built your zones in this, you've claimed in this, this is what you're dealing with. Tokens are about to run out. We tell people what we're doing at least a month in advance. Okay, guess what? We're running out of tokens. What we're going to do is mint X2 token. We're going to take your zones. We're going to migrate them over. You will not know any difference. Okay, we're basically starting over again. If you have a zone, you just get migrated over. Here's the key difference. This is pivotal. When you create the X2 token, you have to migrate the liquidity so that you don't have a $200 token and then the next one launches and you have a $50 token. You have to migrate the liquidity one for one. And then as far as you know, you wake up the next day and you don't notice a difference, but the whole thing has started over again. That's really the best way to solve this, by the way. I don't know if that's brain surgery or not, but there you go. Okay, I'll touch on this really briefly here. Pardon me. So everybody says they are bridging DeFi and traditional finance. Everybody says it. Some have done it pretty well. we're doing it better in my opinion, okay? We have investments that include banking services. Talk about that in a minute. Fiat to crypto exchange capabilities, debit cards, a point of sale system called Crypto Cash that is already part of our investment portfolio, which we will post once those documents are finalized and redacted and all that fun stuff. Integrated wealth management, gaming, entertainment, and more. Bringing real utility and real off-chain assets and delivering it on-chain. The node model, I hate to call it the node model because they're not nodes, but we'll just call it that. The node model in of itself is not bad in its right environment. It's kind of like taking a flower and trying to plant it in the desert. Flower's probably going to die. Nothing wrong with the flower. It's wrong with the environment you put it in. You put it in the right environment, it flourishes. Okay. The node model is a weapon. It's a tool in a business with the proper business on top of it. If that makes sense. Okay. Let's keep going. We already spoke about on and off chain investments. Let's get through this in a minute. Oh yeah, here's something I got to show you. All right. We've all been in projects where they make a snap change like that. Overnight, there's a tax. Overnight, there's something that occurs. I don't know if you want to call it a black swan, but they either increase the claim tax, increase the sell tax, add some new fee, right? With almost no notice. They change the price of something overnight, and you don't even find out until you try to go pay for it. I believe that you give at least a 7-day minimum notice of any fee changes and at least a 28-day notice for any major changes. Give people time to plan. Don't just drop something on them. Okay, which is why you see this here. That's the pledge. Very simple. I don't know why you have to say that, but you do apparently. So we already spoke about transparency and honesty and consistency. So day one, when we launch, there's going to be a dashboard, a real-time updated dashboard. It's going to integrate your zones. It's going to show the token price, of course, news and announcements. All those documents I showed you will be included. We're working on an NFT program that's not, available public knowledge yet, but the NFTs will show in there as well. All of the profitability of the investments, right? Anytime a financial audit is done, all goes in the dashboard. It goes in one place. And by the way, those financial audits, PricewaterhouseCoopers and KPMG, go ahead and do a Google search on that. I'm sure most of you guys know who they are. They're some of the biggest financial firms on planet Earth that do financial audits, right? So you get to see all that stuff in one dashboard. You want to see the dashboard? Let me show you the dashboard really briefly here. I think this is it here. Here is a sample of the dashboard that's already being worked on. This will be available day one. So obviously up here, purchase, that goes to our DEX. Shows your zones, your rewards. It shows the capital fund, which again are the profits in comparison to the price of the token. Any NFTs you have. You see all this stuff in here. You can see what the treasury is. XCF returns are the returns of the profits from the investments. So you can see the total investments and how much has been returned. Okay, if you haven't, paid up your membership fees, this would signal that and you'd have to pay it. All the documents on the right side here, it says document 1. These are just placeholders. They're not, this dashboard's not finished yet. By the way, the fact that they got this much done in a short period of time, I think is nothing short of amazing, by the way. And of course, announcements will be on the lower left. Okay. There is something here on the left that I'm not going to show you just yet. I'm going to save that for a moment when we go through the tokenomics as well. And of course, your zones will kind of look like this when you actually see your zones. I'm going to zoom in. It's a little grainy. I apologize. This is the best image I have at the moment. You'll see an actual visual indicator of when your zones expire, things like that. Okay, everything included in one place. All right, just thought I'd show you that. I'll come back to this in a moment because there's a reason that I want to come back to it. All right, I think we're pretty much through the white paper here, where we spoke about the capital protection with the fund. And that's the white paper. I would encourage you to actually go through this. There's a lot more detail and information in here. What I would like to show you, this is going to answer a whole lot of questions, is the tokenomics here. I'm not going to get into super high detail with this because I did a video. Let me go. If you go to YouTube and you search for XETA Capital, I did a video 8 days ago right here that is, it goes into a lot of detail, exactly, way more specifics than what I'm getting into here. I'd encourage you to go check this out if you want to get into the weeds, so to speak, right? So I'm not going to get into the weeds like I did in that video, but I do want to show you the tokenomics because this is actually important. There's a lot of pieces to this that make this different, okay? Let's just say, you know, we're live, we're public, and you come and buy. Theoretically. Not telling you to. Theoretically. Come and buy. We're pegged to USD coin. I already told you why that's important. We're going to have our own DEX built by Pangolin. There's going to be some sort of transaction fee. It'll be nominal, 1%, 2%, somewhere in that range. Probably not that high, but probably around 1% to start, something like that. And the majority of that goes to charity, and we will have those charities up. We already know of some that we want to work with right now. You know, that do things like, I think that some of them do like plastic surgery in other countries where people just, they got all these physical challenges and all that type of stuff, and then bring the people from charity on and let them talk about what it is they're doing. Really show you guys, you know, you want to change the world, actually do it. So you get your 10 XETA tokens, right? You build your zone, you earn 0.1. Okay. Let me show you the utility behind this. So you get to a certain number of zones. Most people, nodes, wherever you want to call them, our case, they're called zones. But let's just say most people get to a certain number of nodes, whatever vernacular you want to use, okay? They sell. Makes sense. That's what they're there to do. I thought, okay, what if there was so much utility that you didn't want to sell? What would that look like? What would the utility look like, and what if you could pull that off? Okay, so Gaxxis offers a range of financial services. Okay, like I said before, you need to be roughly 10 million in assets, 25 million liquid cash. You got to put at least 10 million of that in to be a client of Gaxxis. So I thought, what if they could bring that value that you normally need all this money to do to the blockchain and allowed you guys, the average Joe like myself and yourself, to participate in that, bypassing all of those financial requirements. Okay, what would that look like? All right, and if you did that, would that provide more utility and value than the actual token itself? Because remember, most projects do have utility. They have one utility, and that's to dump the token. That is all there is to do with it. So let me show you this. So you get to a certain number of zones. What's going to happen is you have a financial services catalog that gets opened to you. Okay? At the end of the first quarter after we launch, we will have 3 different financial services available, which I'm going to show you here in just a moment. Nobody knows exactly what they are yet, so this is a first. So let me show you what this would look like. Ignore the number of zones here. The number of zones is just a placeholder. I just want to show the example here. So let's say you got to 10 zones and you unlocked some sort of financial service. Okay? Something that is of real utility. Something that actually does something. Okay? I'll share what that is in a moment. And then tier 2, you have to get to 25 zones, theoretically, to unlock the next one, and the next one, and the next one, so on and so forth. There was also horizontal unlocking as well. So if you got to 10, the next one would be at 25. But if you got to 15, something inside the first one would get unlocked. So what are these services? Let me share what they are. Actually, let me go back to the dashboard because they're actually in the dashboard images. Again, these are placeholders. Do not look at this and say, oh my gosh, I need 50 zones. These are just placeholders. We have not decided on the number of zones you need just yet. Okay? So over here on the left, I don't know if you can see that, it says blue chip, private equity, and high frequency trading. So let's talk about this for a minute. So, you know, the first thing here is with blue chip. So, you know, with blue chip, you are getting an account manager, okay? You hand over some number of cash. There's some sort of minimum. We have to talk to Gaxxis about what that's going to be negotiated at. You have somebody that trades in and out of equities, okay? So you have kind of like, how can I explain it? It's sort of like a shares ISA. If you do a Google search on a shares ISA, it's sort of like a shares ISA on steroids is the best way I can sort of describe this, okay? But they earn a certain percentage per year. And this is like a wealth manager that's managing this, sort of like a, I use the word mutual fund, but their returns are far greater than like a traditional mutual fund, right? This is an example of a service that would be unlocked. So at this point, when you were to unlock the very first one, you would become a client of Gaxxis, okay? Without needing $25 million in cash, for example. You would get access to this service. Here's the key thing. You have to keep your zones, not just get to them, but keep them. If there's a service that is so valuable and you need, let's just say 30 zones as an example, the moment you lose 30 zones, you would lose access to this service. You'd have so much time to get your money out before you lose access. So if this service is so valuable, you're going to make sure you keep your zones. Just as an example, that's the intention that I wanted to deliver, was something of real value, not just dumping the token. We talk about private equity. So here's kind of an example. So, well, not an example, but Gaxxis with private equity, they mainly deal with fintech companies in late stage. So it's like pre-IPO, valued usually at over 10 billion. So they have the top 20 of the largest private tech companies currently in their portfolio, and the fund has aggressively returned about 200% per year in the last 3 years. Main reason is because pre-IPO, as companies grow, the kind of share price and the profitability just grows really aggressively. So kind of picture, just for as an example, I'll just give you a quick example. Let's just say Stripe is about to IPO. I think you guys know who Stripe is, a payment processing company. Let's say they're about to IPO at, $10 a share, just as an example. But when they publicly launch, it's going to be at about $15 a share based on their annual earnings and whatnot. But there's been a deal negotiated by Gaxxis private equity to buy in at $7.50, so a 25% discount. This is just an example. Theoretically, if you were to get in at $7.50, then it publicly launches at $15, you've made double your money, technically. Now, the key with this is there is a minimum of $250,000 to even participate with this. So kind of the idea behind this is when you were to unlock this feature, private equity, there would be almost like a crowdfunding platform. So a lot of Kickstarter, they have like a crowdfunding platform. People pool their money in. That would be the same case here. It'd be like a first come, first serve, 250,000. Some of you can put in, we have to put some minimum. I don't know what that is, but let's just say minimum's 5K. Someone could theoretically fund the whole thing, and that you would get a fractional share based on what you put in. Okay. Having access to like private equity. Now, this is sort of you have to understand, this is like a longer term play, because you get in early pre-IPO technically. Patience is the key here as these companies aggressively grow, okay, when they launch. So that's kind of this is more of like a multi-year sort of mindset with this, okay? Well, let's talk about the high frequency trading, because that's something that has had a lot of people in the Discord excited. So there are, I think I'd mentioned this already, several high frequency trading services that Gaxxis participates in. They lease these out from a company. Like I said, they got hundreds of people that sit around and tweak algorithms all day. It's all they do, day and night, tweak algorithms. Gaxxis leases this out. They've got 5 or 6 of them. Anything from crypto futures, gold, Forex, trading the pre-IPOs, things like that. And there's a 7 or 8 year track record of several 100% a year. Okay? Track record, 7 or 8 years, not the last year, of making hundreds of percentages per year. So I started thinking, this is sort of, and I'm not picking on a certain project, this is sort of what Freeway does. Okay, they do the quant trading on the back end, leverage quant trading. They borrow against, of course, but they do leverage quant trading on the back end. They put a front-facing UI or dashboard, and they allow you to bring in stablecoin to participate in that. This is sort of the same thing. Now, again, Gaxxis has the banking licenses to be able to do this. They already do it. Okay. Gaxxis has some licenses that you can't even get anymore. I'd have to ask them exactly what they are. I forget the names of them, but licenses that literally they've been grandfathered into that you can't get anymore. So this is an example of a service that you would have access to personally. We're using this as one of the investments, but you would have access to this personally. Okay, same here, same here. Okay, these are examples of 3 services. We're also talking about like a credit card service where you could spend your XETA. And if that wasn't enough, I believe we have a way for all of these different financial services for you to actually use your XETA token without selling it. So you have these services that open up, okay, that likely provide way more value than just selling the token. You have to keep those zones to maintain the service, and then you can actually use your XETA tokens to participate, just like the NFTs would use XETA tokens, for example. So a lot of people would say, well, wait a minute, you need Series A, B, C, and so on licenses to do this. There's no way you could do this. There's no way it's regulatory compliant. That's not true. Let me share why. So, for example, you claim your tokens, you pay your monthly membership fees. We mentioned 50% go to Treasury, 25% goes to operations, or to XETA, 25% goes to liquidity, creates a buy order, part goes to charity. The Treasury here, you'll notice, completely bypasses XETA. So the Treasury balance here never touches US soil, goes to a multi-sig fully in control by Gaxxis because they're the only ones qualified to make investments. They are the SRO. We are the appointed representative. They're the ones that can make the investments. We have no say in the investments. Okay? So XETA does not hold responsibility for the investments. Gaxxis holds responsibility for investments because they're the professionals. Okay? So the Treasury is sent to them. They turn $1 into 3 because that's what they're good at. Profits. This is the XETA Capital Fund. Every quarter, we have a financial audit. KPMG, PricewaterhouseCoopers, the big firms. You're going to see that audit on-chain and off-chain finances. It's going to be published in the dashboard that I just showed you. And at that time, we'll be performing buybacks. If we don't peg the token, we might. We're still talking about that. If we don't peg the token, out of the profits, we will be performing buybacks. Here's the argument against defeating the Ponzi-nomics. So if we don't peg the price and we do buybacks out of the profits. All those tokens are sent back to the rewards pool. Remember how I mentioned 10 tokens go to the rewards pool? If we're performing buybacks from the profits to send to the rewards pool, you no longer need new investors. The degree of the sustainability and the degree of the growth of the project is directly related to the profits, not new people coming in and giving money. That is how you get around the Ponzi-nomics. There's no Ponzi if you don't need new people. It's based on the profits, right? And we are partnered with the best at making profits, just so you know. So after buybacks are done, you have quarterly audit. Money's budgeted. Like a real business, I know, I don't want to say that. There's people that have not run real businesses, let's put it that way. At the end of each quarter, you budget. So we did these buybacks. Okay, here's the audit. We've got some money left. We've got some profits left, like a real business is supposed to. Hopefully, which I know we will. We got to budget that now. We've got the Treasury to reinvest. We've got operations for the business. Maybe we budget more buybacks for next quarter. Let's actually have a budget for it. And maybe we have some money left over and we could just airdrop that to people. We've talked about 100 zones being required as a minimum for airdrops. Kind of ignore that. We're working on something for lower tiers as well, not just 100 because a lot of people want to hit 100. Gaxxis can perform those airdrops because they hold the licenses to do that. Okay? So what do you have here? You have Gaxxis being the secret sauce. Gaxxis is the secret sauce behind this because without a regulated authority with banking licenses to deal in securities and who know how to make big money, you don't have much of a business, right? Because they are the only ones that are able to make these investments, and they're the only ones that can make investments with these types of returns. You take the money-making factor, you marry it with the business being the transparency, the communication, the integrity, and you deliver that in this, node model, whatever. You bring the two together and deliver that value, and you allow people to participate with a big boy sort of financial service that they would otherwise never have the ability, including myself, to ever participate with. real value, real utility, and ultimately at the end of the day to make it so that selling the token is the very last thing you ever want to do. Okay? Let's look at, I mean, that's pretty much it. There are some other things. So if you want to learn more, guys, we are having an AMA tomorrow. This is where the pre-sale is, of course, as well. We are plan to launch July 20th will be the last day of the pre-sale. And go ahead and join the Discord if you'd like. That's where the AMA is going to take place. And we'll be, once we launch, okay, the AMAs will be on Discord, but we're going to be live streaming them. I'll be on video. I don't know, some of the other team members might not want to, but I'll be on video, okay? This will be on YouTube. This will be on Twitter. This will be kind of all over the place. And I remember, bridging traditional finance. The traditional finance people are not on Discord. Many of them may not even be on Twitter, to be very frank. So we have to understand that there's traditional finance people here, and there's the blockchain DeFi part of the equation, the community, bringing those two together. So we got to make sure that we are on all sorts of platforms. So that's the intention behind that, to actually have, you know, sort of a much wider, broader audience. So I haven't even been looking at the chat. I have no idea if you guys have been asking questions. I'm sure you have. Questions. Let's go to some questions really briefly. My voice is running out, guys. I have to tell you, so we'll see how much longer I can do this. Been trying to report the scammers. Yeah, it's so funny that you know, YouTube has all these algorithms, but they can't keep the spammers off of the live streams, right? This is a collaboration. Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. It looks a bit like Freeway, but remember something, Jorge. That's one service. That's one service that Gaxxis offers. It's not the entire business model. Just like the sort of node thing is a tool, it is not the entire business, right? A lot of projects have made the node model the entire business. And on top of that, they don't make money. So because they don't make money off-chain, they've made this node thing the entire business. At some point it fails. So that high frequency trading is just one of many services. Those three that I mentioned are just three. There's plenty more coming aside from that. Let's see. Sorry. Does the community get to vote on the charity? Maybe. I'll discuss that with the team. Maybe. I think we have a pre-selected list. I think we can make that vote something that you guys could vote on. We have to be careful not to be a DAO, because the laws around DAOs in the United States they're very iffy. The US government has claimed that DAOs are only DAOs if they are 100% permissionless. There is no such thing as 100% permissionless in blockchain. Not yet. So we have to be careful not to be a DAO. I don't want to say yes or no, but I'll say maybe we can vote on that. Okay. Let's see. I'm just going to scroll up here. Apologize. This is awesome. Thank you, Underground Anon. I haven't been reading any of this. I apologize. I should have been kind of interacting with you guys a little bit. Be creating earnings before asking people to invest. Yeah, makes sense to me. You know, people are asking, founders of projects are asking people to give them their money, yet they don't have a way to make money, but they still take it. And if you have a way to make money, great. It's even better if you can make money beforehand. Remember, the review system that Amazon popularized is popular now, is used in pretty much every e-commerce platform because it shows proof of what you're claiming. Okay, if there was no reviews, we'd have no idea what people think, if it's true or if it's not true. And of course, you see Yelp and all these other platforms all have reviews. So I look at this sort of the same way, that, you know, if you're making money already, it's not a hope so, it's a no so. You know we already can make money, right? But good point. All right. Sorry, let me scroll down. Don't get a supercar, you're having a baby. I can't afford a supercar. Wish I could. Does it make sense to generate certain tokens per day on the node instead of just distributing dividend to token holders? well, we're doing both, right? Like the node, I don't want to call them nodes or zones, but they do earn certain numbers of tokens per day, right? So they are doing that. But the point is that we will make so much money that we can afford to airdrop. That's after, I don't want to pick on a certain project. There was a certain project that announced that they were buying back their token with their treasury. It's like, ooh, that's really bad because now you're not investing in the future of the project. So if you can invest, make profit, add to liquidity, take care of the business, buy back if you need to, and then you have profits to airdrop, it's sort of like, you know, the icing on the cake, so to speak, right? So it's a little bit of both, but the intention is to make so much money that you can afford to do airdrops. Because everything in business you have to be able to afford to do. You can't have exorbitant payroll. You can't, you know, spend money you don't have, because that's sort of like the kind of the retail mentality. And I don't say that, you know, facetiously, but I just mean a lot of people will get into debt with their credit card. Instead of paying it off, they just go open another credit card, right? In business, every dollar has to be budgeted. Every dollar has to make you $2. Either monetarily or in value in some sense, right? So you have to be able to say, we have money that's going to this that we know we're going to get a return on. And by the way, at the end of it, hey, you know, we have profits enough to just airdrop because we can, right? Jorge, I handle communications. Wants to know what my title is. I handle communications. It is on Avalanche. It is on Avalanche. All these spammers is so funny. I'm just going to keep... Sorry about that. I'm just going to keep removing them. Justin, yes. The pre-sales open to USD coin, USDC.E, as well as AVAX. Is there a way to track how many pre-sale tokens we've bought? Yeah, let me go and show you that real quick. So I actually have a video that I made on the XETA Capital channel right here, how to buy pre-sale. I explain it a lot better in there, but I'll explain it here as well. So if you are in the pre-sale, you are getting something called X-Pre. This is key. So a lot of pre-sales will give you a token. Project launches publicly on day one, everybody dumps their token. Okay, you can't blame them, especially in this market. I mean, people want liquidity, they need money. So if you give them something at 75, which is what it is right now, and then you launch publicly at $100, which is what we will be launching at, then of course, you know, they've got some profit there and they just dump the tokens. But that's, you're not going to be allowed to do that. So one zone is 10 X-Pre tokens. On launch day, these X-Pre tokens will be used to build zones. You will not have a token to dump, right? You have to build a zone. That's what you're buying in a pre-sale. It's $75 per token or $750 per zone. So if I move this bar, you can get as many, I'm just saying, as 250 zones in one wallet. Okay, so that's what you're getting. So X-Pre token arrives, the contract is right here. If you buy in this, it might take up to 30, 40 minutes for the tokens to arrive. Just a heads up, that's a technical thing we're working on. But 10 X-Pre tokens equals one zone, as it says right here. So that's what you're buying. So all you do is just track it in your wallet once you add the contract. Hope that helps. Thanks, Blueberry Jam. You have a cool name. Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, that's how you track how many zones you're buying or pre-sale tokens. And that's really the way to launch. I mean, in my opinion, you know, there's a lot of projects that launch with tokens. It's like it's a bad move. And I don't blame them because a lot of platforms don't have the utility. They have to give tokens out. Tokens are great. It's a currency, okay, on your own ecosystem. But if you could provide far more utility, then the token is just so, I don't want to say it's an afterthought, but it kind of is an afterthought, isn't it? So. The 250 cap per wallet, does this include zones that have expired after a year? No. So if a zone expires, it's no longer counted in the wallet anymore. It'll just say expired. Hope that makes sense. Let's see, I'm just going to go up, just make sure I didn't miss any questions here. Again, AMA tomorrow, 12 p.m. Pacific time in the Discord if you guys want to come in. We have a lot of pre-submitted questions. I just don't know if we'll get to live questions. It just heads up. But Discord, kind of ironically, I think just the other day, maybe even today, they launched a new feature where you can type inside of a like live AMA main stage. So there's that ability. Before you had to go and browse the Discord, it was kind of clunky. You can actually see text messages inside the actual stage now. So that's another option as well. Let's see. For now, it's one charity split off into 10 charities. Yeah. Yep. In the charity part, look, guys, I mean, I don't want to make it sound like, oh, charity, we're just doing that for the marketing gimmick. It's not a marketing gimmick. That's a real thing. Okay, we'll show you. First of all, you're going to see it in the financial audit anyway. We'll actually show you when we give you the funds or when we give the funds to the charity. That's not a fake thing. Like I said, we'll have the people on from the charity talking about what they're doing with the funds. Okay? We'll have a list of charities as well. That's not going to be like a hidden mystical thing that we just said for marketing. And I also know, by the way, a lot of people say, oh, the Swiss thing is just a marketing gimmick. Maybe in some instances it is. I'm telling you that Gaxxis literally does have the Swiss banking licenses. That's not like a gimmick just to market things. Okay, there's over $100 million in capital insurance. You don't do that for a scam. Okay, you don't have an SRO and an FCA company partner to scam people. These guys deal in the billions of dollars. There's no need for them to scam people. Okay, ask yourself why they would want to partner with XETA. Tell me they don't see an opportunity in the blockchain space, all right? For you guys, okay? I don't need to run a project. I'm doing this for people. That's the intention behind it. Let's see. Go back to your questions. You're welcome, Arjun. Yeah, $100 public, $75 pre-sale. Pre-sale still going on. So people, a lot of projects will have a whitelist. Let me go back to the main page. He's whitelist. I understand it's not a technical whitelist. A lot of whitelists. Go on Twitter and share this 3 times. Bring 5 people into the Discord. Hit like. Talk to. None of that stuff is wrong. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I understand why projects do it. They do it to build sort of a. They're trying to build up their Discord. They're trying to build up their social media. We don't do that. If you read the project and you like what you see, you should be allowed to buy in, period. End of story. That's just my opinion. The whitelist is your confidence. Does that make sense? That's the whitelist. That's it. I'm selling my XRP. Just to be very clear, guys, please do your research. Do your research. Do your research, please. Don't buy because I'm the founder of something. Don't buy because I happen to talk about it. Buy it because you believe in it. Buy it because you know exactly what you're buying. And buy it because you have discretionary funds that you can afford to invest or afford to allocate to a project, okay? You know, I've seen this plenty of times that people liquidate other cryptos, and that's their decision. You know, that's your business. It's your money. It's your funds. It's your investments. I'm just saying, please be very careful. Know exactly what you're putting your money into and never put more in that you can afford to lose. We've heard that 1,000 times, but it is 100% true. Okay, I want to be very clear that this is an educational video. This is not a pitch for an investment opportunity. That's not what this is. This is saying, I've been working on this for many, many weeks, 25 hours a day and getting almost no sleep, which might attribute to part of why I'm sick. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, this is me showing you what I was working on, okay? Behind all those tweets, this is what was behind all those tweets. This is an educational course, not a pitch for an investment opportunity. I just want to be very clear about that. We are filthy rich. Thanks. Sorry, I need to take another drink. Saneth, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Appreciate the kind words. TradeFi, someone says. Yeah, 100%. Bring traditional finance to the blockchain. I mean, everybody's saying they're doing it. There's a lot of projects doing it very well, actually. I'm not here to disparage them. It's just that, a lot of that, it's great to have investments off chain. It's even better to take something that would normally be out of reach and bring it within reach. That's even better in my opinion, right? For me to own zones, I would want access to the financial services, period. That's just my opinion, okay? Okay. Sorry, just getting rid of some more of the spammers. Realistic sustainability plan. Yeah, well, a realistic sustainability plan includes a lot, right? And again, the 80-20 of all 80-20s is making money. It is making money. Without money, just think about this in your personal life, right? If you have a lot of money, you have a lot of options. You can relocate, you can maybe expand your family, you can provide a better lifestyle. You have very little money, you don't have a lot of options. A business is exactly the same way. A business with no money doesn't have any other options other than one option, which is to go to zero, right? A business with a lot of money has lots of options to sustain, to deliver on their word, to do all sorts of things, right? All right, just going through the questions still. Let's see. Thank you, Corby. I'm feeling better. Today's more of a throat thing. I don't know. It's 105-degree fever last night too, like a throat thing today. It's really weird. I'm doing better though. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. When will we know about the zone tiers? So we are telling people that those financial services will be available by the end of the first quarter. It could be before the end, but it's important to under-promise and over-deliver. Projects have done this the opposite. They've overpromised and said, I'm going to do this and this and this, and you find out they don't do any of it, okay? It's under-promising and over-delivering. The end of the first quarter will be the absolute drop-dead date to get those financial services available. At least, my goal is at least a month before those are available to tell you guys these are the zone tiers, so that way you actually can plan. You can actually say, okay, this zone tier is 30, this one is 60, and this one is 80, just as an example. I know if I want this one, I got to get to 30, so I got some time to do it. You could just plan ahead. So that's the goal with that. Good question, Vincent. Thank you. Yeah, so Arjun, that's a great question. Curious question. I know the value that this provides is something that I would love, but how attractive is it for the crowd who looks for quick profits and FUDs? Well, here's the thing. I was told this a long time ago. I think I heard it from Robert Kiyosaki. Don't recall exactly. He said a third of the people in life, a third of the people will love you, a third of the people will hate you, and a third of the people won't care one way or another. And it's your job to make the people who don't care to like you and care, because the people who don't like you will never like you. And that's just kind of the reality of life that I've noticed. So the fun is going to come no matter what you do. You could build the world's perfect project with the perfect partnerships. You could literally partner with the federal government, which I don't know if that'd even be a good thing, but you get my point. You could partner with the best of the best, God himself, and they would still FUD it in some fashion. So the FUD is just, it's an expectation, right? If you have any kind of following in this space, you're always going to have people who hate you for one reason or another. You could be literally, like I said, you could be Jesus on Twitter and people will still find some reason to hate you. The FUD is going to be there. I'm really not concerned about it. The bottom line is the people who have confidence in it and join us. If that's 5 people or 5,000 people, I'll stand side by side with 5 people if I have to. Okay, it's really simple. So as far as, the crowd who looks for quick profits, I actually think these emissions are fairly reasonable. Everybody, remember, got into Strong Block because it was 0.1 and it was kind of seemed like totally unsustainable. The bottom line is, I hate to pick on them. This is just the example, okay? They were kind of the OGs in this passive income space. But, they said they were going to do a whole lot of things and never happened. And on top of that, they were doxxed and still did it. You want to talk about people doxing. Did it make any difference with them that they were doxed, right? But aside from that, is they had these emissions that I don't think are terrible. You just have to have profits outpacing them. if everybody's building 100,000 nodes, 500,000 nodes, which you don't need on a blockchain to begin with, okay, you just don't need that, you know, you don't even need 1,000 technically, but, and people are earning 0.1, at some point people are going to be satisfied with where they're at and they're just going to dump it. It goes straight down because there's nothing else to do with the token. So I think if we can take that model, not if, I know we can, take that model and make it sustainable because we do the one thing that, we do more than one thing, but the one thing that other projects can't do, and that's make money, right? And we don't say it's lifetime because nothing is lifetime, okay? That's why they end in a year. That's why there's value in actually owning that, because you get enough of them, you get these services that, in my opinion, are better value than just dumping the token, which allows you to actually have to keep the zone in order to maintain that service. And if you are having a certain standard of life, a certain lifestyle standard, okay, and you're having that because of these financial services, I'm willing to bet you're likely going to do whatever it takes to keep them. That's just my opinion. And you transact in all that with the XETA token. Reduces the sell pressure even more. You don't have to sell your token in order to dump your cash into these services, right? It's a real utility. So to answer your question, kind of the bottom line is people have to do their research. But the people who just don't like you are going to FUD anyway. It's as simple as that, right? Like, I welcome doubters. I don't welcome haters. So there is a difference, right? The SEC will also limit your options even more without a lot of... That's 100% true. The SEC likes to limit our options in a lot of ways, don't they? You win comment of the day, for sure. Thank you, Arjan. I'm feeling better. I appreciate it. Can't believe we're going an hour and 16 minutes. I'm going to cut this short, guys, and there's not any other questions. We've been going over an hour. Again, I recommend you go and tear this website apart. Tear this website apart. Read it. If this is something you're interested in, if it's something you're interested in, please read this thing, tear it apart, go through the documents, tear all this apart. I want you to do that. I literally want you to do that, okay? Click the whitelist, view the white paper, tear this thing apart. I had a business mentor that once told me, he said, if I woke you up at 3 o'clock in the morning out of a dead sleep and said, quick, tell me what XYZ is. If you can wake up out of a dead sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning and explain what XETA Capital is, quickly, without even thinking about it, you know what you hold. It's very simple. You should always know what you hold. Always know what you hold. Let me show you something real quick before we go. I talked about metaverses. That was the investment right here. I'll just open up this again. This was, how much money was this? $750,000. This was on June 8th, guys. We didn't open the pre-sale. Ooh, I don't remember the date now. It was a while after this, though. You want to see metaverses? Let me refresh the website. Go to metaverses. That's VERSUS, metaverses.world. This is one of the cooler, there's a lot of metaverse stuff out there. And you want to talk 80-20, it's more like a 99-1. Most of them are just, they're not good. I was putting it lightly, but they're really not good. This is one of the best ones I've seen personally. And you can't even buy into this right now, just so you know. That's the benefit that we provide. So this is almost like an MMORPG, like think like a Grand Theft Auto online with metaverse technology, blockchain. Also like first person, like, you know, like a Call of Duty sort of thing, like a character development. This is just a really, really cool metaverse project. I just think it's cool. There's actually a video on the very top. I don't want to play it because it's over a minute. But just go ahead and check this out. This is a really cool project. I like it a lot. And that's actually an alpha. It's not even in beta testing yet. Okay. What else, guys? Anything else? If you want to join the Discord, the very bottom of the website, right here. See this link here? Discord, Twitter. If you want to join the Discord, I can read some of your names out loud. We've got 9 to 5 freedom. Some funny conversations in here. Got TeamSpeak user, Red Fox Passive. Red Fox. Interesting comedian. Red Fox Passive. Celtic unit. Matifus. Light Dark. Proud for Puerto Rico. XRP. We've got Guts in here. Lucas Bruto. We got Craigie Bra. You guys pick some of the coolest names. Soy Degen. Ray. We got Carl 2 joining the Discord. Bulldog 16. Uncertain Compass. Mike C. Let's see there. I know there was somebody I missed here. Steven Chili Lime. Don Sean, I think. And of course, Arjun has been participating in the chat. Johnny. Mr. Potato Head. Simo. Nico. Mashu. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. And H-Ben. There's some more. I'm not going to read them all. But thanks for joining the Discord, guys. I appreciate it. This is, again, doubters are welcome. Haters are not. I'm just going to be very, very simple on that. We're not here to talk about other projects. We're here to talk about XETA moving forward. I'll be very clear about that as well. And, of course, the Twitter. Open this up. There aren't any tweets yet. We just haven't put anything out yet, but go ahead and follow the Twitter. We'll be putting some stuff out pretty soon, especially now that this is being opened up publicly. But just kind of bear in mind, it's blank at the moment. That's not going to be for very long. We also have a Medium account that I am going to start populating here pretty soon as well. And of course, we have the XETA Capital YouTube. We have 2 AMAs in here. My deep dive that I said, as well as a tutorial of how to buy the pre-sale. Just some really last second questions if you guys have any, and then we're going to wrap up here. Let me just see if you guys are asking anything. Thanks, No Defender. Appreciate you, man. We got to talk soon. Appreciate our time in Phoenix again. Melina, I'll let you answer that for yourself. My goal here is not to compare things. It's to just show what we're doing. There's a quote. What's the quote? It's something like comparison is comparison is like the guaranteed path to like disappointment, I think is how it goes. Something, I'm probably butchering that, but point is I don't want to be comparing. I just want to be very forward thinking, not backward thinking, right? Take care, Arjun. Appreciate it. All right, guys, if there's nothing else, we are going to wrap up. Just want to thank you for joining. I'd be a little more energetic. This is the first time I'm standing at my desk again. I messed up my back a week ago, then I got sick and taking all this time off working out, and it really sucks, but I'd be a little more energetic otherwise. I do appreciate you joining nonetheless. Again, come on into Discord. Come join the Twitter page and come join sort of the community and ask questions. This is just, hey, this is what I've been working on along with people much smarter than myself. This is what I think the answer is to a very dangerous space that has treated people so poorly and has not respected people, has not respected their money, and has not treated them right. Has not treated them like humans as far as I'm concerned in many ways, and just has not been able to fulfill promises, has not been able to fulfill sustainability, and has not really been run like a true, real business with entrepreneurs and financial, traditional finance, I should say, giants like XETA has, in my opinion. So the pre-sale, again, is open until July 20th. Happy to answer any questions you guys have. Feel free to shoot them my way. Until next time, guys, God bless. It's great talking to you. Take care.